I'm Lena Carter. I'm 32, and I work quietly behind the scenes at a marketing firm. When I heard about my sister's baby shower, I hoped just maybe they'd remember me this time. But once again, no invite, no mention, not even a text. They rented out a venue with my name nowhere on the list, despite the charges on my card. So I showed up not to speak, but to be seen. The baby shower invitations had gone out a month before I even knew there was one. I found out by accident scrolling Instagram during lunch when Dana's post popped up pink balloons, tiered cupcakes, a caption that read, "So grateful for everyone who's coming to celebrate our little angel." The words were written like a soft slap. Everyone, except me. I didn't text her. I didn't call. I just stared at the screen thumb hovering over the heart icon, then pulling away. It wasn't the first time I'd been excluded, but this one felt sharper, more deliberate. Like a quiet door closing, and this time I wasn't even told to knock. A week later, Mom called me out of the blue, chirping about errands and registry items like I was involved. "You'll help with the flowers, right? Dana wants peonies, not roses," she said as if I'd already agreed. No mention of the missing invitation, no acknowledgement of the post, just assumed help like always. "I'm not on the guest list," I said flatly. There was a pause. I could hear her stir something in a pot. "Oh, don't be sensitive, Lena. You're always around anyway." I didn't answer. I just let the silence stretch until she filled it with a flustered goodbye and hung up. That night I sat on my apartment floor with a piece of mail that had come earlier in the week, a card from the nonprofit I'd helped save from bankruptcy last year. It had a photo of our team, me in the corner, quiet smile, sleeves rolled up. The CEO, Marla Evans, had underlined my name in black ink and written, "You carried more than they'll ever know." I kept the card. I didn't need it as proof. Just as reminder. The Saturday of the shower came with drizzle and gray light through the blinds. I didn't plan to show up. I really didn't. I had laundry going, a half-finished report due Monday. But something inside me, call it instinct, or years of being overlooked, made me check my phone, grab my coat, and head out. I didn't go alone. Marla had invited me to brunch that morning just to catch up, she said. But when I told her about the shower, about the exclusion, she didn't say much, just put down her coffee and asked for the address. Now we were in her car. She drove. I watched the rain dot the windshield and said nothing. "You don't need to say anything," she said, turning toward the driveway of the event venue. "Just walk in." I hesitated. My heels didn't feel like armor, my dress felt wrong. But Marla reached over, opened her umbrella, and said, "You've earned more than a seat at that table. Let's go remind them." As we stepped inside, laughter spilled out from a hall bathed in pastel streamers and flower arrangements. A sign read, "Welcome Baby Carter," in cursive gold. Dana's voice rose above the rest, loud, confident, beaming. We walked in unannounced. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. Dana turned mid-sentence and the smile slipped before she could stop it. Mom's eyes widened like she'd seen a ghost. Marla placed her hand gently on my back and whispered, "Let's see how long they pretend they don't see you." People noticed Marla first. Her presence wasn't loud but unmistakable. Crisp navy coat, poised walk, the kind of calm that made others sit up straighter. A few guests looked at her, puzzled. Recognition flickered. A couple of the husbands whispered to their wives. Even the event coordinator paused with her clipboard midair. I stayed half a step behind her. My sister's college friends were bunched near the dessert table. They stopped mid-giggle. One of them, Melanie, made a half smile and said, "Oh, hi Lena, you came?" I smiled back. Apparently so. Dana didn't say anything yet. She stood near the gift table, gripping a ribbon-tied box. Her expression was unreadable, somewhere between caught off guard and trying to reassert control. Mom swooped in like a stage manager trying to fix a miscast. "Oh, Lena, you didn't RSVP. This is such a surprise." Marla turned her head just enough. "I invited her." Barbara blinked. "Well, it's lovely to see you again, Ms. Evans." I didn't speak. Just moved toward the back, scanning for a seat that didn't feel like charity. None of the chairs had my name. Of course not. I stayed standing, hands folded like a guest at someone else's rehearsal. Dana came over eventually. Not alone, she brought a buffer, her best friend Elise, all bold lips and performative kindness. Donna's tone was clipped. "Didn't know you were coming." "Neither did you." I said evenly. She blinked at the line, too quick, too calm. Well, we're a little full right now, she said, glancing at the rows of chairs. But feel free to grab something to eat. Marla raised an eyebrow, clearly hearing every syllable. She didn't interject. Just watched. I nodded once. Thanks. For the next hour, I didn't move much. I stood near the photo wall while the crowd rotated between games, gifts, and staged laughter. Every so often, someone would glance my way, then look again at Marla, then back at me. She was a quiet magnet. I overheard someone say, "Isn't that Marla Evans, the nonprofit CEO?" Another replied, "She's the one that turned that whole thing around last year. You think she's friends with Dana?" A laugh? Doubt it. I stayed quiet, sipped from a paper cup, listened. The games went on. Guess the baby food name that diaper brand prizes handed out like little peace offerings. No one handed one to me. I didn't expect them to. Eventually, Dana stood to give her little thank you speech. Holding her belly like a spotlight, she gushed about gratitude, about friendship, about the people who've been there for me since day one. She looked right at me when she said that last part. It wasn't kindness, it was a test. I didn't blink. After Dana's speech, the room applauded politely. A few people wiped away fake tears. Someone called out, "You're glowing, Mama," and she gave a practiced laugh like it had been rehearsed a dozen times. I stayed near the back. Marla had quietly stepped aside to take a call, which gave Dana the illusion of control again. She leaned toward Elise and whispered something, then both of them glanced at me. Elise grinned. Dana didn't. I didn't move. The cake was wheeled out next 3 layers of pastel frosting with a baby elephant topper. Dana posed for pictures, arms curled under her stomach, chin tilted just so. Mom hovered nearby, passing out plates like a politician shaking hands. No one handed me a plate. A slice eventually made its way to the side table near me. I waited. No one claimed it. So I took it. A small thing, but Elise noticed. She raised a brow and whispered something again. I didn't care. Behind me, Marla had returned. She stood quietly with her coat still buttoned, scanning the room like she was in a board meeting, calculating who held real power and who only thought they did. Then came the photo moment. Family first, someone called. Let's get all the sisters in. Barbara clapped her hands. Yes, Dana, come here. Elise, you too. I waited. No one said my name. They gathered near the balloon arch, Dana, Elise, and 2 cousins from our dad's side. The photographer lifted her camera. I watched Dana glance toward me, then turn back like I wasn't there. That was the moment. Marla stepped forward, slow and certain. Would you like me to take the picture? The room paused. Dana hesitated. Sure, Marla took the camera gently. Smile, she said, lifting it, then turned slightly and added, Lena, why don't you stand right here, right beside Dana? You could have heard the balloon string tap the wall. Dana's mouth parted just a little. Her smile froze. Elise shifted uncomfortably. Mom looked like she wanted to say something but didn't. I stepped forward. I didn't rush. I didn't hesitate. I stood next to my sister. I didn't touch her. Marla snapped the picture. 1, 2, then handed the camera back. I thanked her. She nodded, and then I walked away, cake plate still in hand. They didn't call me back. They just watched. 2 days after the shower, I got a message from Dana, just a thumbs-up emoji. That was it. No thank you, no follow-up, no sorry we missed you, just a single dry acknowledgement, like a business reply to a meeting that never happened. I didn't answer. Instead, I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of iced tea, and scrolled through my inbox. I had a meeting later that morning with a nonprofit board I'd recently joined. It helped center me. Something about being in a space where people valued action over presentation felt grounding. But as I sipped, my phone buzzed again. This time it was a group chat, Carter family, events. Barbara had added me back. The thread was already long, photos from the shower, comments from aunts, Dana sharing pictures of baby clothes, people complimenting the cake, the setup, the color scheme, then thanks everyone for helping make Saturday so special, Dana. Right below, Barbara chimed in. It was perfect, just perfect. Couldn't have asked for a better day for my sweet girl. I didn't see my name mentioned once. Not in the decor, not in the catering, not even in the logistics. Even though they'd used the vendor I'd recommended, even though I'd been the one to reserve the venue weeks before Dana even decided on a date, even though Marla had stood right beside me. I closed the app, took a deep breath, opened my laptop. Marla had emailed Tuesday morning walkthrough for the event. Want to carpool, her timing was always eerie, like she sensed the undercurrents I never spoke aloud. I typed back, yes. Thanks. By the time Tuesday rolled around, I'd almost convinced myself the baby shower had been an odd blip, not personal, just another example of my family's inability to recognize boundaries. But the next blow came when I least expected it. That evening after our event walkthrough, I stopped by Mom's house. I hadn't planned to, but she texted your father left an envelope for you. Come by. The living room smelled like lemon cleaner and pot roast. Familiar. Too familiar. Barbara sat in her usual chair, knitting needles, moving methodically. I didn't think you'd actually come, she said, not looking up. You asked me to, I said simply. She nodded toward the mantel. An ivory envelope rested there. I picked it up. Inside was a check reimbursement for the catering, handwritten and unsigned. I thought we weren't settling up, I said quietly. Barbara finally looked at me. Well, Dana felt bad. A pause. She didn't say that. No, Barbara admitted, returning to her knitting, but I could tell. I folded the check back into the envelope. She used my card, Mom. She never asked, and you all acted like I was the help. Barbara's needles clicked. That's dramatic, Lena. I stood still. She sighed. You've always been a bit sensitive. It wasn't anger that rose in me. It was something quieter, something colder. Is that what you think I asked? It's what I've observed. Her words sliced sharper than any shout could have. I didn't reply, didn't tear the check, just slipped it back into my coat pocket. As I turned to leave, Barbara added, You know you shouldn't expect so much. That's always been your issue. That word again, expect. Like decency was a luxury, not a baseline. Outside, the air had cooled. I walked slowly down the front steps, noticing how the porch light flickered the way it always did when it rained. Familiar things felt foreign lately. The next morning, I met Marla at her office downtown. She handed me a coffee without asking how I took it. She already knew. We reviewed final notes for the upcoming Women in Business panel we were hosting. She was sharp-focused kind in the way powerful women often aren't allowed to be. That kindness didn't mean softness. It was just quieter, intentional. After our meeting, she hesitated as I gathered my things. I saw the photos, she said. I looked up. The shower. My hands paused over my tote bag. Cute setup, she added, a neutral tone, masking something more deliberate. I said nothing. Marla closed her laptop. You didn't say anything that day. Not a word. There wasn't anything to say. She studied me. That takes a certain kind of strength. I don't think they saw it that way. They never do, she replied. Until they have to. We didn't talk more about it. We didn't have to. Later that week, Dana posted a reel of the baby shower clips of the cake being cut, people laughing, her cradling gifts. I watched it in silence. There was one frame barely a second long where Marla and I appeared in the background walking in. No tag, no mention, as if we were hired help who wandered too close to the lens. That night, while cleaning my apartment, I found the old photo album Mom gave me when I moved out. Tucked inside was a Polaroid from our childhood, me and Dana, in matching dresses, standing in front of a birthday cake. She was holding the knife. I was clapping. Even then, she'd been center stage. The next few days blurred into meetings, errands, work, but underneath it all was that steady hum of knowing, the quiet awareness of where you stand in someone else's story. Then came the invitation, or rather, the announcement, a text in the group thread. Join us this Friday for Dana's baby blessing light dinner and a few words from the family. 6:30 p.m., no address, no RSVP, just assumed presence. I typed a response, deleted it, then typed again. What's a baby blessing? Barbara replied. It's a quiet moment before the chaos. Dana's idea. Don't overthink it. So that was how it was. On Friday, I arrived at the venue early, same place as the shower. The lights were softer this time, fewer people, mostly family. I wore navy slacks and a cream blouse, neutral, presentable, forgettable. When I stepped in, Dana's eyes widened just slightly, surprise flickering but quickly masked. "You came," she said. "You invited me?" I replied. She shrugged. "Figured you'd be too busy." I didn't answer. Barbara passed by with a tray of hors d'oeuvres. She didn't make eye contact. I sat at a small table in the corner sipping ginger ale, observing. Aunt Elise asked me if I'd brought a gift. I smiled, said I had. She didn't ask what it was. Near the front, Dana stood with her husband, hands resting on her belly. She looked content, triumphant even. Then Barbara clinked a glass. "Just a few words," she said, raising her voice. Everyone quieted. And then came the sentence that turned the air cold. None of this would have been possible without Dana's grace, her ability to bring people together. There it was, the erasure, neatly wrapped in a compliment. I took another sip of ginger ale. Didn't speak. But my mind was already moving. As the room settled into silence, I noticed how people adjusted in their seats, the small, unconscious ways people react when discomfort tiptoes in. Barbara continued, her voice even warm in a rehearsed sort of way. "Dana, sweetheart, you've grown into such a graceful woman. You lead with kindness and strength just like we hoped." Dana smiled, placing a hand gently on her belly, soaking in the attention. No one looked in my direction. No one had to. My absence had already been built into the narrative. It was Dana's night. I was a comma in the paragraph. But the thing about commas is sometimes they come before something that changes everything. As the toasts wrapped up, I excused myself and stepped outside. The air was crisp, sharp with early spring. I needed the quiet, needed to feel my own breath. I took out my phone and opened the message from Marla sent earlier that day. "I'll be there. Quiet entrance. Let me know when." I typed "now." And then I waited. Inside, the chatter resumed. Someone turned on soft music. Dana walked table to table, receiving hugs, compliments, praise. The door opened behind me. Marla stepped out of a sleek black sedan tailored navy suit, catching the light. She didn't smile, didn't wave, just nodded. Together, we walked in. The sound inside didn't stop immediately, not like in movies, but it shifted, lowered, tilted, eyes turned. Conversations paused mid-sentence. Dana saw her first. Her face stiffened, then quickly rearranged itself. "Marla," she said, moving toward us. "What a surprise." Marla extended a hand. "Thanks for having me. Lena mentioned the event, thought I'd stop by, show support." I didn't say a word. Barbara appeared next, her expression unreadable. "This is unexpected." Marla's tone was even. "I like to see where our company's community partners celebrate." "Dana, that's right, you're part of the Youth Mentorship Board, yes?" Dana nodded, slower than usual. "Good," Marla continued. "Then you understand why representation matters. A beat." Then she added almost casually, "Lena will be our keynote speaker at next month's summit. Just finalized it today." Someone gasped. I didn't look around. Dana blinked. "She's speaking." Marla smiled. "Yes. Her project proposal was the strongest we've seen. Vision, impact, and she listens." The room was still. Dana opened her mouth, closed it. Barbara stepped forward. "You never mentioned that, Lena." "I wasn't asked," I replied simply. The silence that followed was exact, not hostile, just precise, like everyone recalibrated their understanding of who I was. No one said I was right, no one apologized, but no one laughed anymore either. I turned slightly toward Marla. "Thank you for coming." She placed a hand gently on my back. "You belong here." Then she nodded to the room and walked out. I stayed a beat longer, looked at Dana. Her eyes didn't meet mine. Then I turned and followed. The door clicked softly behind me, and inside, for once, I wasn't the one being discussed, I was the one being remembered. The next morning, the group chat was strangely quiet. No gifts, no photo dumps, no follow-up praise about the baby shower, just silence, the kind that lingers when people don't know how to explain what they saw. I sat at my kitchen counter, coffee cooling beside me, rereading Marla's final words from the night before. "You belong here." Not because she said it in front of everyone, but because she didn't say it to prove anything. She simply believed it. Later that day, Barbara called. I let it go to voicemail. Twice. On the third ring, I picked up. Her voice was softer than usual. "Lena, I wanted to say, I didn't know about the summit. I figured. I just didn't expect Marla to come. She didn't come for you." A long pause. "I suppose not," Barbara finally admitted. "You were calm last night. Composed." I said nothing. I think she went on slowly. That's what shook them most. They were never really looking at me before I said, only past me. Barbara sighed. "Maybe that's true. Maybe we made it true." I didn't answer. Dana's been quiet too. She hasn't called. Not even me. Another silence stretched between us. "You're not angry?" Barbara asked. I said. "But anger passes. What stays is clarity." She didn't reply, but I could hear her breathing, slow, unsure. I let her sit with it. That weekend I received a package. No note. Just a framed photo from the shower the official group shot. I wasn't in it, but tucked behind the frame was a smaller print. A candid one. Me walking through the door beside Marla. The moment our eyes met the room. Someone had taken it from across the hall. I didn't know who sent it, but I kept it. Not as proof. As reminder. That Monday, I met Marla at her office to go over the summit agenda. She handed me a mock-up of the brochure. My name was in bold, Lena Carter, Strategic Innovator, Keynote Speaker. She glanced up at me. "Ready I am." Marla smiled. "You know they'll be watching." "I'm used to that," I said. "Difference is now they'll actually see me." The summit hall was modern and open with floor-to-ceiling windows that bathed the room in early spring light. I stood near the registration table, clipboard in hand, helping Marla's team coordinate last-minute logistics. We weren't front and center, not yet, but the room was buzzing. Then I heard it, my name. Said with hesitation. "Lena." I turned. Dana stood a few feet away, hair curled meticulously, makeup perfect. Her expression flickered when she saw I wasn't surprised. "I didn't think you'd actually be speaking," she said. "I thought it was a mix-up." "It's not," I replied simply. Her eyes shifted to the banner hanging near the podium, my name again. Larger this time, public, unmissable. "I didn't know you were involved with Marla." "You never asked." Dana opened her mouth, then closed it. She glanced around, perhaps searching for someone else to validate what she was seeing. "Look," she began again, about the shower. "I didn't mean to exclude you exactly. I just thought, you thought I wouldn't come." She didn't deny it, "and you figured I'd quietly let it go like I always do." Dana blinked. "I didn't come to this summit to prove anything to you," I continued, my voice calm. "But I won't hide to make anyone else comfortable." Before she could respond, Marla walked up beside me, flipping through a set of speaker notes. She looked at Dana briefly, then turned to me. 10 minutes, Lena. You ready?" "Absolutely." Dana's face shifted ever so slightly. Something about the confidence in Marla's tone, the casual assumption that I belonged, unsettled her more than any confrontation could have. "I didn't know you were—" "This involved," Dana murmured almost to herself. Marla answered for me. "Lena built half of this year's agenda, and she's the one who brought in our biggest sponsor." Dana looked stunned. "Oh." That's all she said. "Oh." She drifted back into the crowd. I didn't follow. 10 minutes later, I stepped onto the stage. The room hushed. Hundreds of eyes turned toward me, some curious, others surprised, a few stunned. I took a breath. And spoke, not to impress, not to retaliate, but because I had something worth sharing, and this time, no one could mute me. At the end of my talk, the applause came slowly, not out of politeness, but out of surprise, and then it swelled full and honest. I didn't look for Dana. I didn't need to. When I walked off stage, Marla met me with a quiet nod. "You stayed in control. Every word. That was the point." She handed me a glass of water. "They're going to talk. Let them." The hallway outside was quiet. I stepped into it alone, heels clicking softly on the polished floor. Ahead, the exit sign glowed. As I reached for the door, I heard my phone buzz. A message from Barbara, "Proud of you." Truly, no punctuation, no emojis. It was the first message from her that felt real. I didn't reply. Instead, I walked out into the daylight, no spotlight, no microphone, but for the first time in a long while, fully seen. Outside the building, the air was crisp. Not cold, just sharp enough to remind me I was awake, present. I stood for a moment on the stone steps, letting the buzz of the conference fade behind me. I could have left then. Just gone home, left everything unsaid. But something made me pause. There, parked at the curb, was the family car. Dana was sitting inside passenger seat, reclined slightly. She looked out the window, phone in hand, face unreadable. I didn't approach. I just walked past, not fast, not slow. Just enough for her to see me and know I saw her. Her hand lifted, hesitated, then lowered again. No wave, no smile. But she saw me. And I saw that she saw. I kept walking. Half a block down, I passed a small bakery, the kind we used to go to when we were kids. I hadn't stepped inside in years, not since a fight over a birthday cake order Barbara had refused to change. This time I opened the door. Inside it smelled like warm vanilla and yeast. A young woman behind the counter looked up. "Can I help you?" "Just browsing," I said. My eyes landed on a small display case of lemon tarts, Dana's favorite. And mine once. I bought two. Back on the sidewalk, I hesitated. Then I turned and walked the opposite direction, back toward the car. Dana was still inside. I didn't knock on the window. I didn't ask to talk. I just set the paper bag on the hood, right in her line of sight. Then I walked away. Not for forgiveness, not for closure, just because I could. The power wasn't in being loud. It was in knowing I had the choice, and that finally, I didn't need anything from her. When I reached the crosswalk, my phone buzzed again. This time it was from Marla, feedbacks pouring in. Everyone saying your talk was the most grounded thing we've had in years. I smiled. It wasn't validation I craved. It was the silence that followed, the kind that didn't ache, the kind that meant I was no longer waiting to be seen. I crossed the street. The city moved around me, unaware, indifferent, alive, and that was enough. Not dramatic, not triumphant, but real. A car horn blared in the distance, a dog barked from an apartment window, and somewhere behind me maybe Dana picked up that bag, or maybe she didn't. But I wouldn't turn around to find out, because sometimes the loudest moment is the one where you don't look back. Some stories don't end with applause, they end with a chair left empty, a name remembered, a door not closed all the way. Not because someone forgot, but because someone finally walked through it and didn't need it to shut behind them.